Hey guys, what is up and welcome back to another video. This is T4C Culture TV and I'm your host Hotshot, and today we'll be doing an analysis of RB Leipzig versus Borussia Dortmund that happened at the Red Bull Arena on the 9th of Jan of 2021. Julian Naglesmann's RB Leipzig faced Edin Tersic Dortmund in what was a must-win game for them. After Bayern dropping points, RB Leipzig needed a win to go top of the Bundesliga, and for Dortmund, after losing their manager Lucien Favre, they needed a statement win to show that they're still in the race for the title. It was literally a game of two halves, where RB Leipzig dominated the first half, while Dortmund came back and scored 3 in the second half, with Sancho scoring a goal and Haaland scoring 2 to ensure the victory. Solot scored a consolation goal for Leipzig, but it was too late for them. The XG indicated it was the correct result, with Dortmund having a 2.57 XG with Leipzig having a 1.59 XG. The XG time map also showed that Dortmund had the better quality chances, and also the stats show that Dortmund were the deserved victors. So how did Dortmund manage to win this crunch tie? Well, let's find out. Before we get started, if you like this video, please make sure to like and share it around the community because it helps me with the algorithm. And do subscribe if you want more match previews, reviews, tactical analysis, team analysis, and player analysis. And we also have a podcast. I'll leave a link in the description, or just search for T4C Culture Podcast wherever you get your podcasts from. Now let's look at the formations and the lineups both teams set out with. RB Leipzig started out in a 3-4-3 formation with Upamecano, Halstenberg and Willi Orban constituting the three-man in the defense. Angelino and Adams constituted the wingbacks with Haidara and Sabitzer in the midfield. Forsberg and Dani Olmo were the two inside forwards partnered alongside Poulsen. Dortmund went with a 4-2-3-1 formation with Rafael Guerreiro, Mats Hummels, Akanji and Thomas Meunier as the four at the back, with Delaney and Axel Witsel as the two pivots. Gio Reyna and Jadon Sancho were the two wingers, with Marco Reus as the central attacking midfielder, and Haaland led the line up top. Now let's look at how the home team RB Leipzig set out with their tactics. RB Leipzig on paper started out in a 3-4-3, but it shifted into various formations throughout the game, most notably a 4-4-2 with Angelino pushing higher up and Dani Olmo would drift out wide. He would also tuck into midfield as seen in the average positions in case RB Leipzig was outnumbered in the midfield. Now let's look at what they tried to do in possession of the ball. RB Leipzig wanted to play through their centre backs in Upamecano and Willi Orban. Dortmund weren't looking to press aggressively, and RB Leipzig came out of the first phase of the build-up play relatively unchallenged. As seen in their PPDA, it was 11.43. Dortmund's front four were looking to cut off the passing lanes from the defense to the midfield. RB Leipzig also tended to build up with three defenders, and this pushed up Tyler Adams and Angelino further up the pitch. Emil Forsberg will drop into the midfield to prevent Dortmund's numerical superiority in the midfield, while Dani Olmo will stay in the half spaces. Dani Olmo will also look to drop into the midfield in order for RB Leipzig to not get outnumbered. If he is caught out of position and up top, Tyler Adams will also look to tuck into the midfield as seen in the average positions. Haaland will look to cut out the passing lanes to the centre back, and Reus was tasked to stay on Sabitzer, who was playing deeper, while Witsel and Delaney were staying close to Haidara and Forsberg. Reyna tracked back to stay on Tyler Adams, while Rafael Guerreiro tucked in narrower to deal with Dani Olmo. There were times in the game that Dortmund pressed higher up with their four attackers, and in this case, RB Leipzig tended to build out with four defenders at the back. They tried to draw Dortmund's front four onto them. This created a lot of space behind Dortmund's front line, where Haidara and Forsberg looked to drop into, thereby drawing Witsel and Delaney, the two pivots of Dortmund, out of position, and this created space behind them for Yussuf Poulsen to drop into. Poulsen will also look to drop deep into the midfield into the space vacated by Delaney and Witsel to receive the ball to his feet and look to play in Angelino and Dani Olmo. But Akanji and Hummels dealt with him well by following him into that space and using tactical fouls to stop him. Haidara also tended to push up and occupy the half space, capitalizing on Sancho not tracking back, causing Meunier to step out and leaving Angelino free to attack the space vacated by him. They also tried to create overloads in the central areas to isolate Meunier with Angelino. That was the main tactic employed by RB Leipzig. Angelino was their main outlet, as shown by him attempting the highest number of crosses in the RB Leipzig team. They were also predominantly attacking through their left-hand side. Their main aim was to isolate Thomas Meunier and create 1v1 situations with Angelino and Thomas Meunier. RB Leipzig also tended to crowd the space between the lines of midfield and defense to push Delaney and Witsel further back, and this created space between the midfield and the offense, and that left a lot of space for players like Dani Olmo and Emil Forsberg to drop into the midfield, making blindside runs. Ultimately, they failed to create good quality chances, and also due to the imperious form of Mats Hummels, who came out with 6 tackles, 6 interceptions and 8 clearances, which was the highest on the pitch. Now let's look at how the away team Borussia Dortmund approached the game and how they won it. Dortmund mostly looked to hit RB Leipzig on the counter, as shown by how little possession they had with Delaney and Witsel, and later Emre Can, who came on after Witsel was injured. They were instrumental in this, with Emre Can having 4 interceptions and Delaney having 4 tackles. They were responsible for winning and causing turnovers and unleashing the forward 3. But when they did have the ball, the Dortmund centre-backs split the width of the box and tried to pass the ball to the full-backs. Forsberg and Paulsen will look to press Hummels and Akanji whenever they had the ball. Witsel and later Can or Delaney will drop deep to create a 3v2 advantage. When that happened, Forsberg and Paulsen looked to cut off the passing options into the center. Once the ball is played to the fullbacks, that activated the pressing trap, as Angelino will push up to press Thomas Meunier while Halstenberg presses Sancho. If the ball is played left, Dani Olmo will press Rafael Guerreiro while Adams presses Reina. Haidara stayed close to Delaney while Angelino drifted in centrally to cut out the passing option to Witsel. They initially struggled to build up from the back owing to RB Leipzig's high pressing intensity, with them having a PPDA of 8.35. Dortmund also looked to bypass this press by using Erling Haaland as a target man, with Burki or the centre-backs launching the ball to Haaland, dropping deep with Upamecano following him into the midfield and challenging him for duels. Haaland would look to receive the ball and play it to either Royce, who would release the wingers. If the wingers were in the half spaces, they would notice the runs of either Royce or Haaland making late runs and try to play through balls to them. If they were hugging the touchline, they would look to whip in a cross for Haaland, making runs towards the far post. Meunier and Rafael Guerreiro also function in the similar manner. Borussia Dortmund saw how RB Leipzig tried to target Meunier in the build-up, and they looked to solve this by making Sancho and Reina swap wings, due to Reina being comfortable dropping in deep to provide another passing option, and is also comfortable in carrying the ball forward and beating the high press. He is also capable of tracking back and helping Meunier out with Angelino. This also made Borussia Dortmund build up typically from their left-hand side, and this allowed RB Leipzig to make Angelino drift in centrally. This would create a 3v3 midfield. In addition to Haaland, either Sancho or Reina would drop into the midfield and to create a 4v3 advantage. This draws the fullback out of position, for which Sabitzer had to cover for, as Tyler Adams often got caught out positionally. This freed up Marco Reus to receive the ball and pass it to the wingers. If Sabitzer or another midfielder failed to cover for the fullback dropping in deep, then Erling Haaland will tend to run into those channels and will look to latch on to any through ball, will receive the ball to either cross or shoot, and this was how the first goal came about. In the end, it was an incredible result for Borussia Dortmund, which puts them up to 4th, 5 points behind Bayern Munich, and for RB Leipzig, they'd be kicking themselves for wasting an opportunity to go 1 point clear of Bayern. It's shaping up to be an incredible title race this season in the Bundesliga. So let me know your thoughts on this game and if any other tactics I missed out in the comments down below. Thanks again for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe if you want more content like this. So for now, until the next video, this is me, Hotshot, signing out. Peace.